Hey everybody, welcome back. Today I was going to originally go through the new kill team that I have wanted to make for a long time. After I read 1,000 Suns, I really wanted to make a 1,000 Suns kill team with the Rubric Marines. It was all came down from just really enjoying Magnus as a character and as a cameraman and stuff like that. But when I went and bought the Rubric Marines box, which you can convert into a kill team, I ran into quite a lot of stuff that was fun to start with, obviously, but also quite disappointing in terms of what's available compared to what you're supposed to be able to have. And what I wanted to do was just run through the build process so far to show you guys, give you a little bit of a warning in case you're trying to build a Rubric Marines kill team of your own. Because this is my third one. My brother's built 5, this is my third. And throughout the process of building all the teams that we've had so far, this is probably the most complex process I've run through, or run into at least so far. I'm probably going to get into very slightly into the mechanics of the game a little bit more than I normally do, and hopefully that's something you'll enjoy as well, because I haven't done that for my other teams. And if you want me to do stuff like that for my other teams, please do let me know. But if you find that there's anything in this that you disagree with, or that you kind of do agree with and are looking for a little bit of support with, leave comments and I'll try and interact with you a bit more about these, because this was a really strange process and you'll see some of the stuff I had to do to get around the limitations of what's in that box, but also the limitations of what is allowed for a Rubric Marines kill team as well. But without wasting any more time just sort of looking at me, I'm going to take you through the build process, some of the shots I've taken of the work that I've had to do to get these guys right. Will hopefully at least come up with a guide for people in the future who are looking to create a Rubric Marines kill team to play with on the tabletop.
The first thing I ran into was noticing that you could have up to 3 sorcerers on a Rubric Marine kill team, with one of them being required as your leader. And that was fine, but one of the weapons required for the Rubric Marine would be the Force Stave, and I noticed within the parts that give you on the sprue, there's only one Force Stave included. And I had to sit and think for a bit about how I was going to get around that problem, because there were definitely no Kitbashing parts. But then I did remember that I had some old Chaos parts lying around.
Crush them!
And yes, so after digging out my old Chaos Space Marine parts from the 5th edition box my neighbour gave me, I was able to find some pieces that roughly resembled Force Stave parts. A lot of these pieces were old tank parts, railings, spikes, traditional Chaos bits and pieces, and I used them plus some sort of icon parts to create some makeshift staves, along with one that seemed to be just a stave of its own. With a lot of gluing and a lot of finagling, I did manage to make them into staves, which I mounted either in the hands of units or, as you can see, on the belt of one of them, as if it had been retracted and put away for storage so he could use some psychic powers. And for the most part this worked quite well, apart from in certain places where there are some inconsistencies between the styles of the armour, which I'll hopefully be able to cover up with paint later on, but you'll see those as we go on whenever I reveal sort of the whole team together. But ultimately though, I was able to make a total of 4 sorcerers just to give myself some choice. You can only have up to 3 on a kill team, as it says in the rules, but I kind of thought that because this team is limited, it's a Chaos Space Marine team, you can use a limited number of units, I thought I would give myself some choice. And that's where the kind of problem comes in here. As you can see, once you've created all the units that you can play for a powerful team, you're left with 3 gunners left in the box that can't really be done with anything, and then you end up with a whole load of extra sprue parts and weapons and things because of what you've ended up building out of the entire box. And when you see all the units here on display at the same time, it does sort of give you a bit of context as to the disappointment. It's not like it's massively disappointing, but when you really think about the fact that you have a box of 10 possible miniatures that you can build, 4 of which I had to kit bash basically, and an allowance for 5 on the table, you would sort of expect there to be a little bit more variety between them. This is everything in the box that you can build, plus the kit bashing parts I did with the sorcerers and the staves and things. But whenever you break down the entire team that's in the box, the entire unit into the kill team that's got the most variety, you'll see just how much you lose or how much you're limited by. If I start with this sorcerer as my leader and move my way around to 2 other sorcerers that I've chosen at random, which you can see there, I've then got the option to have 2 gunners at most, which would give me more power ultimately. One has a flamer and one has a chain cannon. It then allows me to have space for a icon bearer, which is just a warrior with extra abilities, and ultimately even doing that leaves me without the option to have a normal warrior, which would be the most limited option in terms of what's left over. And that then leaves 5 miniatures in the box, which are just basically, not counting the icon bearer, other versions of what's already there. So to kind of explain myself a bit better, if you look at the selection list that you've got here, my selection that I put out there had 1 mini, 2 few. If you take this list here, you can have up to 10 Warp Coven operatives, which, if you're selecting Arcana Astartes, which are any of the Rubric Marines, those count as 2, so realistically you only have 5. So I can add an extra warrior, which is realistically the only thing I have a choice to add on top of whatever I've already got. So you've got 10 miniatures, whittled down to 6, limited to 2 gunners, up to 3 sorcerers, which you don't have the parts for, and then everything else is an icon bearer and then a warrior on top of that. But then if you look down here, the full 10, if you want 10, you can choose 10 Sangor warriors, which is obviously from a different box. I wasn't expecting that from this one. But if you want your Sangor warriors, you have to buy them separately, which is similar to the Talons of the Emperor team, which requires you to buy 2 separate units in order just to build the 1 kill team. And if you're doing that, you then have to buy the Sangor upgrade kit to make these even fit as Sangor champions and warriors and things. So you're buying 2 boxes just for these 10 units, which are less powerful than the ones in here, which are already limited. So every step that you take through this kill team kind of limits you and potentially asks more money from you, which is a little bit disappointing because the cost of a normal kill team is around £30, which is the same as this box, except to get the full effect of the box you have to buy 3 different kits. So you can see where my disappointment's coming in a little bit. It's still a team that I'm looking forward to playing, and a team that I have a little bit of pride in because of the models I've had to create from parts I already had for the sorcerers, but it feels like something you shouldn't have to do. I know that with custom models and 3D printing and things, Games Workshop are a little bit rough on official tournaments and things whenever people turn up with their own units, so I feel like it's a little bit unfair for you to have to come up with things like this, because otherwise you would have to spend £90 plus on boxes that would give you enough parts to create the sorcerers you want for a full team. It's convoluted to start with, and it's easy enough once you figured out what you can do, but overall it's far too complicated and far too potentially costly just for the sake of 1 kill team. But yeah, I don't want to harp on about it anymore, so do leave comments about your own experiences with things like this and what you think and what we can do. Also let me know what you think of the custom units that I had to kitbash. What do you make of those? And for anyone who's been attention really closely to the background of this video, see if you can guess what my next big project's going to be. Leave a comment, see if you figured it out. Please don't forget you can also support me on Buy Me a Coffee. It'll allow me to keep pursuing the hobby and overcoming paywall obstacles like the ones I've talked about in this video. You can leave tips, but you should never feel obliged to. But you can also subscribe to support me on a monthly basis. Any subscription or tip left is massively appreciated, and it helps me keep doing what I love. And I'd be really grateful for any support you could provide whatsoever. Hopefully I'll see you next time, where I'll hopefully unveil the next big project.